Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Dirty Gaming and more farming strategies trying to get the currency to buy Mageblood. This time around, I'm going to try Ritual. Now this is not a mechanic I've ever done, so I'm expecting this to be less profitable since I'll be quite slow in the Ritual window, and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything valuable. Time-wise, we're about 10 to 11 hours played. We've got 146 divines in currency in the stash, 144 of that in raw divines, and probably about 10 divines worth of maps that I could sell. If I don't do a strategy with these maps next time, I am going to sell them because they're going to be coming near the end of the series. Speaking of the end of the series, I'm hoping this is the penultimate strategy. I'm hoping, because of that, it treats me well. The mechanics we're going for are Ritual, like I've explained. We're going to keep Enhanced Lab Trials in, although I'm not sure these are worth it now. The price of 2 of them have plummeted, so there's only one that you really want to get. And it's whether you think it's worth the time running them, but they are only 4 points on the Atlas tree, so I'm going to include them. I'm going to be sticking with Niko for Azurite, as it's just free money, and at least if this strategy absolutely bombs and I'm rubbish at Ritual, at least I get something back. I'll be taking usual memory nodes to try and force the good memory strands and drop more maps. I'm going to take Scarab drops along with map drops, now that T16.5s are about 4 for a divine. It's definitely worth trying to drop more maps. I'm also taking all of the Exarch altars and pack size nodes to add some extra income and extra mobs into the rituals. The good thing about that altar mobs is if you get them with a good currency, let's say you get Harbinger Scarabs, when you kill them and drop the loot, if they're within the ritual circle, they'll spawn in the ritual and then they can drop their loot again. Now before this episode, I ran the Black Star invitations that I'd been collecting, and I actually got a well-rolled Polaric Devastation that I sold for 1 divine, so it's a nice little boost. One thing I realised I've done, which is a massive mistake, and I didn't realise till I'd finished the whole strategy, is I was using a scarab called the Ritual Scarab of Selectiveness. What this does is it gives you a couple of free rerolls in your window. I didn't realise you could run 2 of these, so I potentially missed out on tons and tons of ritual rerolls, and therefore things like Omens, potentially Audience with the Kings. So I think my profit should have been much better if I'd actually have read what the scarabs did. So what I went for in this strategy, I went for 1 cartography scarab of Escalation to hopefully get some more T16.5 maps. These are really, really cheap, so even if you only get 1 to 2 extra maps, it's profit. I did, like I said, just 1 ritual scarab of Selectiveness to allow me to reroll more times and for free. I decided to try the ritual Wisp scarab, which is a bit weird. It essentially spawns a wisp that says it gives you more tribute when you kill stuff and you're affected by that wisp, but it's a bit unclear to know when you're affected by it. You basically see a wildwood wisp, you go to it, it then sort of moves and you follow it again. Then there's like a area of effect that you can stand in, but it never really is clear when you're actually getting this buff. And it's really hard to see when you've got loads of ground degens, corpse explosions and loads of monsters. So I certainly wouldn't run these again, but they're only a chaos and they definitely did add some tribute. I went for a Niko Scarab just to get soul fight in every map, which will turn to Azurite. And then finally, I went for the Scarab of Hordes to get more influence mobs into the map. This is a Scarab that I would drop to add in the extra Selectiveness Scarab if I do it again. And I will say I probably will do this strategy again. I actually really enjoyed Ritual and the rewards can be pretty decent. It is very hit and miss, but you do get decent rewards often enough to make it worthwhile running. The Scarabs are all dirt cheap. They're like a chaos or multiple for 1 chaos. So you're talking like 4 to 5 C cost per map. Again, I'm running Canyon, so I can just horizon my rubbish T16s that I've collected over time. So again, I'm saving money on the map cost. So before we go through a map showcase, let's go over the Atlas tree very quickly. And it is fairly straightforward. The only mechanic we're really heavily investing in is Ritual. And we're taking pretty much every node other than Immutable Dogma, because we want to obviously reroll more times because we're using the Scarab to do that. And then we're also not taking Arbitrary Tenets, which basically gives you a randomly selected cost when you get favors between 90% less and 80% more. I don't really see the point. Other than that, we're taking all of the ritual nodes. So we're doing guaranteed to have 4 ritual altars. We're doing reduced tribute, and when you defer, they reappear sooner. We're taking the blood-filled vessel. I'm not sure it's worth it. Random blood-filled vessels, I'm not sure if they even sell, but it's 1 point, so it doesn't really matter. But you could probably drop all of these nodes if you wanted to add something else. because this just basically speeds up your rituals. I like these nodes because I want to be in and out as quick as I can. This node I don't think is really worthwhile. We're taking reroll favors 2 additional times, and then rerolling cost reduced tribute. So if I'd have used the 2 selectiveness scarabs, it basically would give me 6 or 7 rerolls, and when I even have to start paying for them, they're going to be reduced cost. So I do think I've missed out on an absolute ton of currency. In terms of the others, we're just taking chance to get ritual. Like I said, we're keeping the Niko nodes so that we can get his buff for a minute each time we collect some sulfite, and we can get some azurite every now and again. We're taking some scarab nodes, and then just, yeah, the usual map nodes here. And then the usual blocking Incarnation of Neglect and Incarnation of Fear. Taking the lab trial nodes here, I think I'll drop them in the next strategy. I think with the fact that there's only one you really want to get, and it's quite rare that you come across them, even though it is only 4 points, I don't really want to run them, so I think I'll remove them for the next strategy. That's kind of it for the Atlas tree. I am taking Wrath of the Cosmos because I'm not that bothered if I die, but I haven't done yet. Taking the chance to double your embers, and then a chance for an altar to spawn. And then we're taking all of the pack size nodes because it will mean they drop more loot if we've got a decent altar mod, and it also means we'll get more mobs into the ritual. And then to finish off, I've just gone for the quantity wheel, as I pretty much take on almost every strategy. And that's kind of it for the Atlas tree. There's not much to it. I have no idea if it's good or not. As I said, it's not a mechanic I've done before. I don't know if stuff pairs well with it. But as you'll see when we come to the currency at the end, it's actually paid off pretty well considering I didn't really know what I was doing. So let's go over the final loot breakdown. Now, I've already cashed everything in, but I've saved the footage doing so. It was about, I would say, 35 to 37 divines worth of loot that you would sell. I haven't valued any of this stuff because I'm not going to do anything with it. It's just going to go in like my main stash tab. I've pulled out any scarabs that are worth like 2 to 3C or more and sold them. In terms of my T16.5 maps, I've moved them all into one tab. This is like my combined for all the farming strategies so far. And then I've just moved over the T17s and then just all the other maps as well. But in terms of the loot that we got, I had a Corrupted Blood Jewel that had a couple of decent mods on it. It had like attack speed with 2-handed axes and crit multi. That sold for a divine. I picked up a pretty decent synthesized belt, which I've got up for sale at the moment. I'm just not sure. It might maybe go for 2 div instead of 3. It's basically 18% dex, 16% cold res. I think they're pretty decent implicits. If it doesn't sell for 3, I'll lower it to 2. We got 8 audience with the kings, and they're worth about 2 divines each. I sold my 8 for 15 divines just to get them gone nice and quick. I had 2 omens of amelioration, the ones that mean you only lose 25% XP when you die. They're about a divine each. And then I got an omen of brilliance. They're about 40 to 50C. They're the ones that give you increased experience after you level up. I picked up a few special essences and some various fossils, which combined were about a divine. I did get 1 memory strand map, which was at the very, very end. So I went, like, I think I ran 33 to 34 maps and it came right at the end. So I was a bit unlucky with my echoes, but it did end up being reverence and it was 3.5 divines. The other bonus about this is I hadn't seen any nameless rituals either until I go into my memory threads when I'm not running scarabs because I just want to rush, and I found 2 in a row. I should have definitely ran scarabs. It's 5 chaos worth of scarabs. I was being such a skinflint, and that probably would have meant I may have got 5 to 6 divines more loot as a minimum because I found 2 nameless rituals in a row. I got tons of other various loot as well, some which I sold, some which I didn't. Our resonators sold for about 1.5 divines. I ran my Exarch invitation and got nothing. And like I said, T16s, T16.5s and T17s, we probably picked up 3 to 4 divines worth of maps. So like I said, I'd say conservatively, it was about 35 divines worth of loot, but I think it was a bit more than that. But we'll call it that. So it's like 11 to 12 divines per hour. I was doing about 12 maps an hour. Obviously, they're slowed down when I had the memory thread with all of the rituals that I had to do. But overall, yeah, 10 to 12 maps an hour if you include the memory strands that I ran. I feel like I didn't get many omens, but now I know I didn't use the right scarabs. That might explain why. So I think if I did this again and I used the right scarabs, I'd probably get quite a bit more profit, but I'm still really happy with the result. I also really enjoyed it. It's definitely a strategy I'm going to revisit. I liked Ritual. I like the kind of jackpot thrill you can get by getting a big item. I didn't get anything, but I got a mini dopamine rush when I got the 2 nameless rituals in a row. That was quite a nice thing to come across. And I think this strat's a great example of if you just play the game, you can't really fail to make currency. I didn't really know what I was doing, didn't use the right scarabs, wasn't particularly efficient, and I still made well over 10 divines an hour. So in terms of the final currency tab, let's move stuff across. I'll move all the leftover stuff later. I probably won't sell the blueprints because I doubt I'll be able to sell 3. They'll just go in my main stash tab. So we'll go here and put the rest of this currency in there. So I'm now sitting at, let's sell these at, oh no, because I might need some chaos, but we've got 179 divines worth of raw currency, and we are now 44 divines away from Mageblood. We have got about probably 3 to 4 divines worth of T17s, and then we have got lots of money in originator maps. These sell about 4 for a divine. We've got about 31, I think we've got. So this is probably at least 7 divines worth of maps. So we're going to sell these anyway. So if we say that's another 10, then I need to earn around 35 to 40 divines in the next strategy, which I think I'm going to be able to do. That's kind of it for the video. Let's say one more episode left, and then what I might do is bring a last video out that recaps all of the farming strategies and maybe looks at what they're worth when I bring that video out. That's it for this episode. It's a bit of a strange video because I didn't really know what I was doing, but I earned currency, so I have to bring it out to show the progress that we're making, but it definitely could have gone a lot worse. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.